I got Dunkin'. So no Christmas mug today, but I got Dunkin'. Okay, it's still Dunkin'. That's what I'll be drinking anyway. So I might as well. I got it from the source. Got it straight from the source because I ran out of coffee and I haven't had coffee in a week. Okay, I've been going through headaches, and all that stuff, caffeine withdrawal, whatever you call it. So I needed this. Okay, I needed this, and I needed this to talk to you. This is how I unwind. This is how I open up. So when I've never been off tea for a long time like this. I think the closest I've been was maybe 2 months off of tea when I was currently taking tea. I was taking testosterone, but I had been off a month or two or so, maybe because of getting the testosterone payment, or the one time that I was incarcerated. But they did give me tea in there, for the record. They gave me my testosterone in jail because they were like, any prescriptions or things that you were taking before you got into jail that we need to know about, and they reached out to my doctor and they sent it there. So I was able to take it, but while I was in there for the first month and a half, I didn't have anything. But I used to have terrible like cramps when I was on tea. Like, it will be like, okay, while I was taking testosterone, and this was even before I wasn't missing shots or anything, but every time I would be like close to my time to take my tea shot, which was it was like every week, I would get like these cramps. I remember the first time it happened, it weirded me out because up until this point, before I started taking testosterone, I had regular periods. I never had dealt with like really bad cramps. I had maybe mild cramps that were like, okay, whatever, take a Tylenol, I'm good. But once I started taking testosterone, that's when the uterus problems started happening. Like, I would be cramping so bad, but like no blood was coming out or anything, or maybe a little bit of spotting. But like, by the time I take my testosterone shot, I'm fine. But like, it will be like that week or that day before I have to take my next dose, and I will be in so much pain. And I remember the first time that happened, it scared me because it was just like, I never dealt with this type of pain before. But I just rolled with it. I asked my doctor about it, and they were just like, oh, it's just your uterus getting used to the excess amount of testosterone or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. But, looking back in hindsight, I'm like, that's probably a sign that I shouldn't be taking this. Like a normal, healthy female with working body parts probably shouldn't be taking, medication that disrupts that in any way. But, I was just trying to transition. I was trying to do my own thing. But, it kind of gives a perspective of like I shouldn't have been taking it. I shouldn't have not been taking that type of medication. But however, other than that, I didn't have any other issues while I was on testosterone. It would just be the uterine cramps, and then like if I missed 2 weeks, like a week or two of testosterone, I would bleed, and it would start. First, it would be just like a little normal, little spotting, or just a little bit, and then I'm going crazy because I'm like, I don't want to see this, and whatever. So I would bleed after not taking testosterone for like, if I missed like 3 shots, I would bleed. But every single time I would take testosterone, it looked like over time my uterus kept hurting. Like, it kept hurting. And this is not just a me problem. This is something that to this day I don't even think they still understand why, because this is something that a lot of trans-identified females who take testosterone, this is something that they always complain about. Like, if you look on Reddit, if you just type in testosterone or uterus, trans men, whatever, on Google, you will see that as a top complaint. Another issue is that I had too was, for some reason, every time I would either have sex or I would play, masturbate or whatever, I would also cramp too. And again, this is something that you look it up, you see a lot of women who take testosterone are complaining about this. And even then, researching about this, I thought it was kind of frustrating that like there's no concrete answer as to why this is happening. Or it felt like it was such a mystery. Or it was just like, oh, it's just testosterone, you'll be fine, this is just part of it, this is just a part of transitioning. And it's like, I don't think that answer suffices. Like, I don't think that's a good enough answer, I think, if you really want to keep it 100, I don't think we ain't supposed to be taking testosterone. Like, women aren't supposed to having excess testosterone in their system. Our bodies are meant to have estrogen and testosterone. We produce both, but like how do I say it? Like, it was clearly a problem. Like, it was clearly a problem that was developing over time, and soon it will become a great problem. Because those crampings, those cramps that I had, that were just like, oh, a little bit, it would happen. Over time, it became a bit more like, hold on now, I'm really hurting right now. I'm really, really suffering right now. Like, I'm in bed curled up, holding my, my stomach or my, where my ear, or, that section, and like, oh my God, I am in pain. And yeah, sure, after a testosterone shot, it'll be over, and then a week later, I dealt with it. And then they'll go away, and then I'll deal with it, and then take this testosterone shot, and it's just like, it never got better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it never got better, and this is where we're gonna get to. We're gonna get to how it played out for me. So I believe in 2017, I was having issues with bleeding. And it wouldn't matter even if I took my shots on time. I told my doctor about this, and she was like, okay, well, what if we increase your dose a bit and see what happens? And it worked for a little bit, and then she was like, okay, I'm gonna send you to a gynecologist to do like a transvaginal ultrasound. And I went there. It's a pretty easy process. I got it done, and then and then I got my results back, and they were just like, oh, they don't know if it's like, I forgot what they found. I think they found like maybe a bit of what they said was fibroids or whatever, or she said something about like my uterus was like a bit larger than normal, but she said just not to be concerned. She was just like, oh, it's just because you're taking testosterone, so that's just a result of that, but other than that, it's no cancer or whatever. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I take my testosterone as usual. The doctors are saying it's alright. The gynecologist is like, okay, well, this is just a result of you taking testosterone, but if you want to still take this, then, this is just what it looks like. This is what your uterus looks like. It's going to be a little bit larger than mine. All this stuff. I think she said I have fibroids, but she couldn't confirm or deny. I don't know. It was weird. Okay, it was a weird experience. So this was in 2017, 2018. So I'm fine. Like, I'm still having cramps every now and then, but I'm fine. I'm not bleeding. So fast forward to like maybe 2019, 2020. 2020 comes, and this is when the horrors started happening. So I wasn't working at the time, and I was just dealing with a lot of mental issues and stuff. But I hadn't been taking, I think it was like maybe a month I hadn't taken my testosterone. And then I was going to get some money to buy some, but then things happened and then I got incarcerated or whatever. But that's when it started happening. The worst pain I've ever been in, plus the worst bleeding I have ever had in my life. It looked at, I started bleeding so much. I started passing blood clots. It looked like no matter how much I wiped, how much, it just kept going and it kept going. And mind you, I'm in jail. Like I'm sharing a room. I'm sharing a compound room, whatever the fuck you call it, with like 30 plus women, and we're all sharing like the same like bathroom and stuff. And I'm having to deal with this. And then also in jail, they don't want to give you pads and stuff. They do, but then they don't want to, or they just give you tampons. And I hated tampons, and tampons wasn't enough. But even the pads wasn't enough. But I was already stressed because I'm in jail, literal jail. And then also I'm stressing out because I've never experienced this much bleeding, this much pain in my life. And it's hard to get pain medication while you're in jail too. So I'm like suffering, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe this is because I'm stressed or that I'm in jail. And over time I was able to get my testosterone shots again. So I'm thinking, once I start taking my testosterone again, maybe this will fix. Maybe it'll plug it. Maybe you'll plug the blood. Plug the plug. But you know what I mean? Like, I thought it would stop. And it didn't. At least not right away. Like it kept bleeding. I was taking my shots in jail as normal every week, the same dose or whatever, and it didn't stop until maybe the third week or so after my third shot. And then by this time, I was able to get out, bond out, and be at home. So at least I was like, okay, if I'm going to deal with this, at least I'm home. But eventually it stopped for a while. For a while, it was like that. 2020, the rest of 2020, it will come and go. Even if I was taking my testosterone shots regularly, but the pain would come, the bleeding would come, and I would just be in my bathroom, literally almost wanting to cry, because it's like, what is happening? I went so long without having to see any blood or any periods or anything like that, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean? Because it's like, I felt betrayed. Like, I felt like my uterus was like, oh, so you want to stop me? Like, I did feel like my uterus was basically like, oh, so you trying to stop me? No longer. No longer will I be stopped. You will bleed. And, I would tell my doctor about this, and she would just be like, oh, let's increase the dose. Let's decrease the dose. Let's do this. But it was never like, let's stop. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, even if she told me that, I probably would have been like, no, let's not stop. Let's keep going. I don't want to stop this transitioning. I don't want to lose my beard. I don't want to lose all my progress or whatever. I don't want to stop being trans. I need this. I need this to be trans. I am a trans man. I need this to survive in the world, because I'm living in the world as male, But not at one point did they say, hey, maybe this testosterone you're taking is probably causing this. No one, they said that, but they were never like, let's stop, let's stop taking this. But 2022, let's fast forward a little bit. 2022 was when everything everything just completely went crazy. 2022 comes. And I'm working. But I'm working. You know, I'm working at a restaurant. And I all of a sudden I'm in incredible pain. I'm doubling over, holding my, my stomach, or that area where, and I'm at work. I'm at a fast food restaurant. We need to get orders fast, like out. And I'm like, they like looking at me like, what's wrong? Now I can't tell them like, oh, I think I'm having a period or anything, because they think I'm a whole ass man. They think I'm a dude. So I can't say that. I can't out myself. But I go to the bathroom, and I just passed like the biggest TMI. Sorry, trigger warning. I don't know, blood, whatever. But I just passed like the biggest blood clot I've ever seen. It looked at like a fucking golf ball. Like, it was huge. And I'm lightheaded because of this. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go home, bro. I gotta go home. I can't do this. But I don't know how to explain it. But I tell my manager, and he's like, all right, bet. You sure you can? And I'm like, I gotta go. And like, I don't have any pads or anything. I don't have any nothing. So like, I feel, I just wrap a jacket around me, but like, I feel the wetness. Oh God, it was so embarrassing. But I wish I could say that was it, and I didn't have to deal with this again. I felt like I was in denial because this was happening, but I was like, maybe this is just like a one-time thing. Maybe it's because I'm not taking my testosterone shots in time. Maybe I gotta take them in the morning instead of waiting until I get off of work. But then it happened again, but this time I was on the bus heading home. And I feel, I get the cramp. I was cramping all day, but I get the familiar cramping, and I fucking feel it coming out. Like two big blood clots just coming out of me, and there's nothing I can fucking do. There's nothing I can fucking do. I'm on a bus full of people. Oh God. Like, there's dead ass nothing I could do. And then it just kept going. And then it would be an everyday thing. Like, I would be in pain. My uterus would be like on fucking fire every day. And I would be bleeding every day. And then there would be times where it would be just regular heavy bleeding. And then sometimes it will be so much to the point where I remember the first time this happened. I was home. I had called home from work, and I was home, and I messed up my pajama pants. I messed up my bed sheets. I was bleeding every second. You know how they ask you, oh, if you fill up a pad for more than 1 hour, that's a cause of concern. Like, it wasn't even an hour of grace. Like, I had to change it like every 15 minutes. Look, like I was bleeding. So I don't know how I can describe how much I was bleeding. Because I feel like people be like, oh, I think people who have like normal heavy bleeding, or they just think it's that. But it's like, okay, imagine that. Imagine your heaviest period ever, but like times it by 10. And then think about like the period cramps that you have. Times that by 10,000. Like, I don't know if I can, like, it's like it's like I know how real the pain was. I know how real this situation was because I was in it. But like when I try to explain this to people, I don't think people knew. I don't think I can really communicate to anybody watching this or anyone that asks, because people. Cause I tell people about what I went through, and I feel like they just looking at me like, oh, okay. But it's like, no, it's not. Oh, okay. I was bleeding to death. Like I remember I got up because I was like, oh fuck, I gotta change my pads or whatever. Because at this time I'm wearing like 3 fucking pads, you know. And then I had to switch to like one of those, you know, those little adult diapers that they make, the D-pins for women. Because it got too much. So I remember getting up and I was walking to the bathroom. This was late at night. And I just, I feel it coming out. I feel it coming out. And it's like the biggest, I'm just passing like these big ass clots and I feel it. And then because of it, my blood, I guess I was losing too much, my blood pressure dropped or whatever, but I fainted. I passed out. I hit my head on the tile and I didn't know this. I just wake up to both my brother, my dad, and my mom down at me, and I'm looking up at them like, what happened? And they're like, you just passed out. And you know, all this blood is on the floor and on me and on my shirt, and this what happened 8 times, okay? Like I had to, when this first happened, they rushed me to the hospital. And first when I got to the hospital, they were like, oh, well, just take some iron pills. Bye-bye. You know, like just some iron pills. You'll be okay. But then when it happened again, or before it happened again, I would feel so lightheaded. I would feel so tired. I feel so like I don't got any iron. I didn't have any iron in me. I didn't have, my anemia was low. And I already have sickle cell anemia, so my anemia is not as, my, what's the word? My hemoglobin is not as high as normal people who don't have sickle cell already, but like now, but because of all this bleeding, I'm lower than humanly possible, you know, like, so I remember I got a call because I did a blood test, and then I got a call. I was at work. I got a call from my doctor's office, like, you need to take your ass to the emergency room because your hemoglobin is dangerously low. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. But my dumb ass went home because I'm like, maybe I'll go tomorrow. Maybe I'll go there later on night. Maybe I'll have somebody. But I start bleeding again. And then I passed out again. This time I passed out for a good little while. I was out for a while. And then, you know, my dad and brother rushed me to the hospital. And then I had to be committed because I had to get a blood transfusion because my hemoglobin was at a 2 point something. And to give that to perspective, the nurse pretty much said the only person she has ever seen with that low of a hemoglobin was this man had just came from a motorcycle accident and was bleeding to death. Like, I had the same hemoglobin as somebody who was in a fucking accident. Like, I was losing that much blood. And, you know, I had to stay in the hospital. And they would bring my hemoglobin up to like a normal, not a normal level, but a level that's sustainable for a while. But that wouldn't work because I was bleeding every fucking day. It didn't matter how many iron pills I took, how many fucking kale smoothies I drank, how much meat I ate, how much red meat I was eating. It didn't matter because I was still bleeding. My uterus was still bleeding. I didn't know what was happening. My doctor was like, okay, I'll give you I'll get you another ultrasound. And mind you, I'm still taking my testosterone side. I'm still taking my testosterone shots because I'm thinking maybe it'll plug it. Maybe it'll make it stop. You know, maybe the testosterone, like it's some magical pill or whatever, will make this shit stop. But it didn't stop. And then, you know, I finally got some insurance. And I said, and after my like 6 hospital stay, the doctor was like, go see a gynecologist. Just go see a gynecologist. I don't know why you ain't seeing her. Go see a gynecologist. And I'm like, you right. So I booked an appointment to see a gynecologist that was covered by my insurance. Shout out Cleveland Clinic. And she sat my ass down and said, we're going to get you a transvaginal ultrasound. We're going to do all that. We're going to figure out what's happening. She sat my ass down and said, you do realize you don't have to be suffering like this. You know? And I'm like, you right. But she's like, no. Like, we need to figure out what's going on with you so you can stop suffering. All this pain that you're in and all this bleeding that you're doing is not normal. Like, this is... Because I told her, you know, I've just been trying to thug it out. And she's like, don't fucking do that. So I take another transvaginal ultrasound. It comes back. Basically, it says I have an enlarged uterus and also that I have severe adenomyosis, which is basically... It's kind of like endo, but it only affects inside the uterus. Because endo is outside, so adenomyosis is like opposite. It's just it just affects the inside of the uterus. But it's called adenomyosis, and that would cause my uterus to get enlarged, as it was. And then my doctor, my gynecologist, she sat me down and said, look, the only solution to this really, because I don't put you on birth control, because at this time she put me on birth control and it stopped it. I loved it. But I was still in pain. I was still bleeding. She was like, look, we got to take it out. We got to take your uterus out. There is no cure for this. You're just going to be always like this. And I was like, by that time I was like, take it. And you know what she told me? She told me, she was like, you know, you are a trans man. Eventually you was gonna get it out anyway, right? And I'm like, I mean, yeah. Now at this time, you know, I'm not necessarily questioning detransitioning, but at this time, you know, just because this was a year ago, this was in November when she told me this, last November. You know, at this time I'm reading gender critical stuff. I'm reading radical feminist stuff. I'm reading about how important, you know, our body parts are and wanting to cut off healthy body parts. So I'm, in my head, I'm kind of like, I haven't like thought about detransitioning yet, but it's like, it's bubbling. But when she mentioned that, I was like, the whole thing about like, oh, well, you're a trans man, you were going to get it out anyway. You know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But like, I understand where she was coming from, because she told me she had a lot of trans men patients, so she knows about this, that, and the third. And I'm like, you know, that is something that trans identified females get. They get hysterectomies, but for them, it's like, I want to say for them it's cosmetic, but like, now I'm starting to think, how many trans-identified females get hysterectomies because their uterus starts to not shut down, but like just starts to get messed up. Because think about it now, like, remember, well, I don't know if you remember, some people just don't know, but like Buck Angel, okay, Buck Angel was like a famous porn star, trans man, whatever, for people who don't know, but in her documentary, she talked about how, what did she have specifically? I forgot what she had specifically. I don't think it was like adenomyosis like me, but it was like her uterus was basically collapsing. Something. I should have researched this before I made this topic so I could come correct. But like, she eventually had to get a hysterectomy. And there have been other trans men I knew who weren't even thinking about hysterectomies or anything, and eventually had to get it because they were going through what I was going through. And it got me thinking, like, was it the testosterone that led to this moment that I'm having with my gynecologist? Mind you, I'm bleeding. I'm in the room while she's talking to me, like this. Like, yeah, okay. Want to schedule a date? Yeah, okay. Want to schedule a date? Get your hysterectomy? Yeah, okay. Whatever. Let's do this. Honestly, at that point, because I was in so much pain, she could have did it right in. She could have took a saw and just snatched that bit out of there. Snatched it out of there, and I would have been like, thank you. But, anyways, come February, I get prepared for surgery, and it's a success. No complications, no nothing. The only complication is when I got up, I had a little nausea, and I threw up. I threw up the ginger ale they gave me. So she was just like, just sip on the water, and that helped a lot. And she had gave me some crackers. So I was just in the recovery room, just watching a Bluey. Watching Bluey, just sipping on water and crackers. But other than that, like, no cuts, my bladder was left intact. Everything was perfect. And then I go to my follow-up appointment, and she shows me the picture of what my uterus looked like, and it looked like a big old basketball inside of me. Now, mind you, a uterus is supposed to look like this, okay? If that. It's small. Like, your uterus is small. For people who don't know, because I feel like all the health classes you go to in middle school and high school and all that, and the pictures that they show of our insides, they don't really capture what it really looks like. It captures what it looks like, but like, I was like 20, 30, 31 years old when I found out that, like, your uterus is like this small. Like, it's a small thing. It's teeny. Like, it's not supposed to be big. Your uterus is not supposed to be enlarged like that. And she said the reason why I was bleeding so much because of like every movement you're bothering it. It's just constantly constricting and it's bleeding. And she said even when they were getting it out, so like every time they just poked it a little bit, it wanted to bleed. So they had to make sure. They gave me IV on this arm for a transfusion to give me blood while this was happening, because they didn't want me to lose blood and freaking die. But but honestly, now this was in February. Now this been what? February, June now. So February, March, April, May, June. Like, it's been 4 months since my hysterectomy. No complications, nothing. Really nothing. The only thing that sucked was like the first week or two when you like are constipated because of the anesthesia and like the gas. But once that left, no pain, no incisions. I hadn't had no nothing. I've been straight chilling for the first time. I know peace. No pain, no thinking I'm gonna accidentally bleed or anything. Just I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm going places. I don't gotta worry about wearing 2 diapers or 2 diapers plus a pad plus a whatever contraption I would think of. Cause I'm like, I need to contain this blood that I'm bleeding. And I feel great. However, now that I've been thinking back on how I got to this point, I'm starting to think like, yeah, it's probably that testosterone. I mean, she never told me the final cause of why this was happening. Like, she never mentioned like it was because of excess testosterone. It was like, if I never, cause think about it now, okay? Think about it. Like, up until this point, I never I had never had irregular periods. I never had bad periods. I always had normal ass periods. And then I started taking testosterone, and then that's when the uterus cramps started happening. And then it just over time, it just got to the point where it's like my uterus was like, I can't do this no more. And I'm curious, how many trans-identified females go through this? And either A, they're not getting listened, or two, they don't want to say anything, because to say something is to admit that, we probably shouldn't be on this. We probably healthy adult females should not be taking this type of medicine and disrupting what is already a normal healthy body, a normal body that functions like it's supposed to, because you're born female, okay? No amount of gender dysphoria or whatever the fuck, no matter how much you chant to yourself or to other people that you are a man, you're not. And my heart fucking goes out to, like, fucking, now they got the kids, now they got little girls and teenage girls doing puberty blockers and shit. And that's another thing I have to research. But I've been reading little articles and stuff, and wasn't there like a CAS report, the CAS report that came out that was like, this medication it hasn't been studied to be used on these kids. So, fuck. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Like, this is something that we need to talk about. But it's like, they don't want you to, it's like every time you try to talk about the realities of what it's like to be on testosterone, not even from a detransition perspective, but even as one who's actively, a woman who's actively taking testosterone and wants to say, hey, like, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, this medicine is making me sick, this medicine is making me da 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 da. It's like they get pretty much hushed and silenced, because it's like, you don't want them to know that transition is bad. And that's not cool. We need to talk about the realities of being on this medication. You know? Now, again, I don't have proof. Well, I guess I kind of have proof. But I don't know 100% that testosterone is the reason why that led to my adenomyosis, and to the point where I had to get my hysterectomy, get my uterus out earlier this year. Maybe it was just a chance. You know, maybe it was like that. But I'll bargain my entire bank account, which is not much. But I wouldn't bargain my entire bank account that me being on testosterone for all those years led to my uterus getting enlarged, and the adenomyosis and all the cramps and all the bleeding. Because I think after a while it was like, what am I doing? What am I doing to my body, you know? Because like I mentioned earlier, soon as I started taking testosterone shots, that uterus pain started coming. And I had never experienced that. I remember I'm 19, I'm on the floor, like, what the fuck is going on? And then I just kind of toughened it out. I just dug it out, because I'm like, well, maybe, because the doctors told me, oh, well, it's just a part of testosterone. It's just your uterus adjusting to the excess testosterone. Yeah, I didn't read that in the book that they gave me, the booklet that they gave me. But if you look it up, a lot of trans men have talked about this, about the cramps and the everything. And it's just like nobody don't want to research into why or how. How does testosterone affect the uterus? That's what, period. How does testosterone affect the body in general, the female body in general? Because this is something that is not, we're introducing something that is not, we're not supposed to be introducing to the body. We're female. We don't need extra testosterone. I don't know how that works for men who have low testosterone and giving them a boost, maybe for them. And I'm not talking about like steroids, but I'm talking about like maybe they have, because I know men take HRT too, like usually older men who don't produce testosterone. But we're putting an excess of something that your body normally doesn't have an excess amount of. You know what I mean? So we need to research. We need to do more research on this. And because I suffered for no reason. Like at no point somebody was. I had to make that decision to stop taking testosterone, because I had stopped taking testosterone back in like last November, and this wasn't even the detransition in me yet. It was just like, I'm doing all this and I'm still bleeding, so why the fuck am I even taking this? This is the reason why I was taking this in the first place, because the luxury, you know, they promise you the luxuries of never having periods again, but at what cost? At what cost? The cost of not having a uterus anymore? Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't planning on having babies, but like, you know, your uterus is not just a baby making thing. It helps regulate the hormones inside your body. It helps keep you everything in check. I will say this though before I leave, because I forgot, I still have my ovaries, so it's not like, so before anybody get like scared, like, are you taking any hormone therapy? Like, no, I have my ovaries, so right now I'm just free. I have estrogen, just estrogen in my body, so I got hormones, I'm good. But so I don't have to take this off, but I can just have the freedom of my, you know, ovaries doing their thing. But I just didn't want nobody to get scared or be worried like, what are you taking? But yeah, we need to. Don't take testosterone. Fuck, I don't know. Like, yeah, I believe in free will, but also at the same time, my real true feelings about gender transitioning and transitioning, I would say no one do it. I don't care if we turn 18, because that's the thing. I don't want no kids, first of all. I'm against puberty blockers and HRT for anyone younger than 18. But I'm now starting to think, even if you've grown, don't take that shit. Don't start transitioning. Don't stay away from it. Learn, heal, and learn. I know it's easier said than done, and I'm still going through this, and I still have dysphoria, so I'm not saying dysphoria isn't real, but it's like, bro, just learn other alternatives to deal with this shit. Don't take that medicine. Don't take testosterone. I'm gonna say it so much in this video. Don't take testosterone, okay? Nobody doesn't want to hear this, but don't take that shit. Don't take that shit. Don't go to the doctor and be like, can I start HRT? If you're a woman, I mean, I can't speak for the men who take estrogen and estradiol and all that stuff. I'm a trans man, I was a trans man, but if you're female and you're a woman watching this and you're considering transition, don't do it. Don't do it. Find other ways to deal with your dysphoria. You know, acknowledge it, because it's real. But like, acknowledge where that pain comes from, and like try to like deal with it without sticking this medicine in you. At least until they fucking figure out and get more research done on the effects of testosterone on the female body. But we ain't gonna never get that, because one, history has proven that they don't give a fuck about female bodies when it comes to medicine. They don't test on us. We're experimental to them. They don't take our pain seriously. So that's one. And then two, with the whole trans ideology thing, now it's like, if you're transphobic, if you dare criticize or say, hey, wait a minute, can we talk about this? And you're like, oh, you're just being transphobic. And it's like, fuck you, okay? These are real people on the line. These are people like me on the line. And I cannot stress enough, okay? Because I feel like I don't stress this enough in the video. Maybe I'm not. I was in pain. And I don't know because I'm a black woman, and like, as a black woman, no one ever fucking thinks we're in pain when we say we are. But like, up until my hysterectomy, the last couple of years, for 2 years, I was in pain. What I went through was not just a okay. Like, no, I seriously, like, I get so mad. maybe something wrong with me. That could be it. But like, I get so mad when I tell people that what I went through before I got my hysterectomy, and they just go like, oh, okay. And it's like, it's not an oh, okay, nigga. Like, I was fucking suffering. I was in fucking pain. I was suffering. I had no energy. I didn't want to eat nothing. I didn't want to sleep. I just wanted to sleep. I can't even play. Even if I wanted to do something I genuinely enjoy, like play video games or fucking watch anime, like, I couldn't even do that. Like, okay, I'm gonna end the video because I feel like I'm going crazy. And I don't need y'all to see that in me. I need y'all to see someone who's not at least a little bit sane. But yeah, don't take testosterone. Don't do that. If you're a female, don't take that. Don't put that stuff in you. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth whatever changes you think you're gonna get, because it's just, because even like the beard and stuff, like, that's just another side effect that proves that you're not you're not supposed to. Because even me, who was able to grow facial hair before testosterone, it wasn't like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was definitely like more like this, but it wasn't all of this on the sides and everything. But like, the point is, don't take it. Don't take it. Don't take it. Don't take it. Find another way to deal with your gender dysphoria. We need to push that. Therapists, psychiatrists, doctors need to push that. Stop pushing medication. Stop putting testosterone in a healthy female body. Stop it. For the record, before I end this video, I'm not sorry in the video, I don't regret my hysterectomy. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad that I didn't go through any complications. It went well, so it's not like, I'm mourning the fact. But at the same time, I understand that, like, it goes beyond not wanting to have kids. I knew I never wanted to have kids. I mean, I want kids, but like, I didn't want to go through childbirth. But I know the uterus is more than just the baby holding, the baby making. It's more for just carrying babies. Like, it helps regulate the body. The uterus is such an important body part to the female reproductive system. Uterus is important, and hopefully down the line, I don't have any complications or anything like that. But for right now, I'm better than I've been in the last 2 years. So I ain't taking that mess no more. I'm not on testosterone. You couldn't pay me to be back on testosterone. I don't care what you do or what you tell me. I don't care how bad it is for you get. I ain't taking that no more. Fuck around and fuck up my ovaries or something. I don't know. But yeah. Don't take that shit. Deal with your dysphoria somewhere else. Be proud of being a woman. Be proud of being yourself. Or just feel neutral about it. You don't have to be a proud woman. You just be like, hey, I'm a woman. That's what it is. And don't take testosterone. Alright, I'm gonna leave y'all.